Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Chainsaw. I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
Well, Craig, we have come to our 367th episode. It is a special day for us. We've been talking about this for about a month now, right? Our 365th episode was 2 weeks ago. You know, I think I had said to you, oh man, we missed doing our Wes Craven special for like the 350th episode. Like the 350th just blew right by us. We didn't even notice.
Yeah.
And you were like, that's okay. 365 is more important to me.
Yeah.
366 if it's a leap year. It means you can listen to an episode every single day out of the year, even if it's a leap year. So we thought we would take our 367th episode to do something a little special to us anyway, and celebrate that we have come this far. And hopefully we'll have another 366 episodes ahead of us. But this is the beginning of a new year in a way.
That's true.
Right? It's like Happy New Year, Craig.
Happy New Year to you.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. You know, the older I get, the more quickly time just seems to fly by. I mean, it does feel like we've been doing this for a long time, but it's hard to wrap my head around that I've even seen 367 movies.
Right?
That is a lot of hours that we have put into this. And let's be real, a lot of our episodes go over. So more than 367 hours.
Oh God.
Not including minisodes, not including like special interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We can't even remember all the movies we've done.
Oh, no.
We'll bring movies up. We'll be like, did we do that? I can't remember. Got to go to the website and check. How lame is that? But some of that's because we're getting older, too, yeah?
I guess. But it's fun, though. You know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cool to have something like this scheduled every week.
Yeah.
And at this point, we've done all of our favorite movies for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
There are maybe a couple we haven't done. I don't know. Like, have we? I know that you're just dying to do The Exorcist. That's going to be coming up soon. Have we ever done the original Poltergeist?
We haven't. No.
Yeah.
That's a big one for both of us. So there's still a few out there.
There are still a few out there. A few of our favorites that we haven't done, but we're kind of in a place now where every week we're seeing something that neither of us have seen before.
Yeah.
And that's fun. Now, this week is kind of an exception because the movie that we're doing this week is one that I saw during COVID lockdown, and I watched it with Alan, and I liked it so much, and he did too. And I mentioned it to you around that time, but then I just kind of kept putting it off. Every time you would ask what I wanted to do, it was always in the back of my mind. But for some reason, I think I like this movie so much that I was worried
that I would hate it?
No, not that you would hate it, but
that
like
you'd have to spend an hour defending it.
No, that I won't be able to do it justice. I think it was what I was worried about. But I'm excited.
Yes.
Because I watched it again, and I loved it again, and I'm super excited.
Well, the movie is Little Monsters from 2019, not to be confused with Little Monsters, the Fred Savage and Howie Mandell movie, which, by the way, is the movie I assumed you were talking about when you brought this up. In fact, we're so lucky that I happened to mention it one more time and you caught me, because I would have come here prepared to talk about that movie.
And you know what? That would have been fine. I've seen that movie so many times.
Yeah.
Even like I watched it recently. So if we had made that
Did you
mistake,
really?
Yeah, I did. It's really good. It was on one of the free streaming services, and it still holds up. I think it's a great movie that we should do.
We will do it.
Sometime when we get around. I'd love to do another Gateway Horrors month someday. We talk about these months all the time. We'll see, but that would be a good one. But no, this one is 2019's, and I don't remember seeing any ad campaign for this movie. I don't remember seeing a trailer for it. I think it just popped up on Hulu. And the cover features the star of the movie, well, the female lead of the movie, Lupita Nyong'o, who, on top of being a brilliant actress, is maybe the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen in my life. She is just stunningly stunningly beautiful.
She is.
And so, and I've liked her in everything I've seen her in. So that was enough for me. And I talked Alan into it, and we watched it, and I was blown away because you know that I'm not a big zombie movie fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Of all of the subgenres, that's probably my least favorite. And this is 100% a gross zombie movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also one of the sweetest things I've ever seen.
It's a sweet, cute movie. I think the reason why I hadn't heard of it and you hadn't really seen much about it even when it came out is because it was on it was like a streaming service exclusive. So many of these movies, especially the ones up on Shudder, like if you didn't have Shudder, you wouldn't know about them.
That's true.
This one surprises me though because of the names in it. You got Lupita Nyong'o, which by this time she had already done, I think, 12 Years a Slave, Black Panther, Star Wars. Yeah, she was right in the middle of, I think, between the second and last Star Wars of the three. She was about to do Us, and that was starting to get some excitement behind it. So there's no reason why, on the strength of her alone, this wouldn't have been able to garner more interest. And then Josh Gad.
Yeah.
Who, I don't know, maybe not everybody recognizes his face, but he, especially at this point, up-and-coming rising star with Disney. Mm-hmm. He was, LeFou in the Beauty and the Beast live action, which I really liked. Olaf in Frozen. I think, was he doing Book of Mormon at this time on Broadway?
Well, it was probably, he had done it. That had been a while ago, but he had done it. He originated one of those roles, and he's great. He's a really funny guy, good singer.
Well, he plays so against type in this movie that actually it was the director. I read an interview with the director, Abe Forsyth, and he said he was really taking a risk by taking this on because he is 100% against type in this film, and here he was building this career as this Disney guy. It didn't seem to hurt him at all. I think he's doing
fine. In fact, he is currently in his second season of a television show called Wolf Like Me, which is this director. It's the same guy.
Yeah. Do you know anything about this? Have you seen it?
It's been on my list to watch forever, and I haven't gotten around to it. And I didn't know until we did this that it was this guy, Abe Forsyth, who's the writer and director of this movie, is also, I don't know if he writes it, directs it, if he's just the showrunner, I don't know. But it's his show, and Josh Gad is the lead, I think.
Yeah, it is. And Abe Forsyth himself has done quite a few things. He's worked as an actor, also as a writer, director of many, many things. Previous to this, he got a lot of good press for a movie called Down Under, which was also a bit of a comedy, treads similar ground as far as kind of, there's like a sort of a male chauvinistic douchebag character in it, but it was a little more dark.
Well, all I know about Wolf Like Me is that it is a werewolf show, so like it's at the very least horror adjacent. That's why it's been on my list. And knowing now that it's this guy, I'm totally into it I'm going to be, because this movie. There are so many good things about it, but I think that one of the things is that it's written so well and it's so well balanced in terms of there is the gross out zombie stuff. The zombies look amazing. Yeah. Like they're disgusting, and the makeup is brilliant. It's so good. But then it's also got we should probably just get into talking about it.
Probably. Well, it was an Oscar-winning makeup team, by the way, that did those zombies, and they, definitely took a pay cut in order to do this movie just because they loved it so much. And I also read that the zombies were all unpaid extras.
Really?
Yeah, there were thousands of extras in this movie, and they just went out and just did a big call for extras saying, hey, just play a zombie in this movie. And they went to a zombie walk in Sydney, and the crew members handed out flyers to people and just got 1,000 or so interested folks and got their zombie makeup applied by Oscar-winning makeup guys. So,
I would totally do that.
That would have been a blast, right? So it's a lower budget movie, but clearly a labor of love. Got a pretty strong cast and a very experienced and excellent writer-director behind it. So
it really doesn't look low budget.
It doesn't.
It's shot really nicely. I feel like there are like crane shots and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe they're drone shots. That's probably a little bit cheaper.
That's how it's all done these days.
had a very limited run, like for a week or 2 weeks or something. It premiered at a festival, and then different distributors bought it for different continents, but Hulu got it here. That's why it says Hulu original.
Well, the movie, when you talk about the budget and how it looks and everything we're saying about it, it is so similar to Cooties. You remember Cooties?
Yeah, I do.
It's sort of like Cooties in tone and style, even like cinematography and degree of comedy and star power. It just, it's just take those kids and make them 6 years younger, and you've got this movie. Because Cooties took place at an elementary school, and this takes place with literal 5-year-olds. Like, all of the kids in this movie are 5 years old.
Very, very similar, but even more so tonally, it was giving me Final Girls, because I cried at least twice in this movie.
You're such a sap.
It's in my notes, and I'm crying.
We'll be able to pinpoint the exact moments, huh? Great. This will be fun.
At the end, I won't spoil anything, but I say, she cries, and I'm crying with her.
It's cute. I don't know if we were really crying in Cooties, to be fair. It's definitely not exactly like that in its message. And the director really sought out to make this movie like this. He wanted a sweet movie that had something to say about what kids can teach us and shielding the kids from the dangers of the world, and also, but he wanted things in a more honest way than he had done before, because he had done some of these Judd Apatow-esque kind of characters, is what he calls them. These kind of douchey male guys who eventually by the end of the movie have to sort of change and grow up, And he said that that's always struck him as a little false. Like, he didn't ever really buy that character switch by the end of those movies, and he wanted to have a movie where this guy actually seemed to go through a genuine change. And this is the other guy. We haven't even talked about him, but the movie's basically 3 adults and a bunch of kids. And he is Alexander England, and he's a Australian actor. And he's done a lot of stuff, just nothing terribly big, at least that I know of. Alien Covenant, he was in that.
Oh, right. Yes, he was. Yeah, he's Dave. And Dave is that guy that you just described. And I think another strength of this movie is the acting. Especially these 3... not even especially. The 3 adults that you mentioned, Dave, Josh Gad's character, his name is Teddy McGiggle because he's a children's entertainer. He's a children's entertainer. And then there's Lupita Nyong'o, who plays Miss Caroline, who is Dave's nephew's kindergarten teacher.
Right.
The 3 of them are so good. They're just really, really good actors. Mm-hmm. And then usually, we've talked about this recently, you get kids in movies, it's hit or miss. Mm-hmm. These kids are gold. They are so cute and good. I love these kids.
The director had something to say about this too. He said that they went through 700 kids because this was a very we are going to talk about the movie, but he said this is a very personal movie for him because it's directly inspired by some very direct parallels with his life. His 5-year-old son has some life-threatening allergies, and he finally had to take him to kindergarten and put him in someone else's care for the first time. And he said that was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And he and his son, he was a chaperone for one of his son's field trips, which was to a petting zoo. And that's what happens in this movie. And he said while he was there at the petting zoo, he got the inspiration and the idea for this film. And so much of it probably feels so cute and genuine and real. It's because it comes from a genuine experience with this guy. As he's writing it, he's really relating it with his son and stuff. So,
and yeah, that's cute. He and his son are both in the movie. It's adorable. They just have little cameos. Okay, but yeah, Dave is the guy that you just described before, the Judd Apatow guy. He is a washed-up musician. He talks about being in a band, but we never see him playing with this band. He's just a busker, and he's not even a good one.
He's really shitty. He's a bad singer. He's a bad player.
Yeah. He's and he does a really good job of being really unlikable in the first part. I wanted to...
We hated him.
I wanted to hit him a little bit, and I wanted to make him pull up his pants, because he always has his pants down around his ass.
Now you're sounding old, Craig.
Yeah, well, I don't care. And, like, he's really funny, but in that Judd Apatow way where he's just really inappropriate.
Yeah.
And, you know, like
caustic.
Swearing, dropping the F-bomb left and right, even around his, you know, this kid's in kindergarten, so like 5-year-old nephew, making really lewd sexual jokes and suggestions, just smokes weed all the time, jerking off to VR. It opens up with him fighting with his girlfriend. Like, it's all of the credits are just a huge montage of them screaming at each other everywhere.
God.
Like, let's establish that this is not a healthy relationship right off the bat.
I just want to be able to go out and have a nice night for once. Is that too much to ask?
One thing I up in the last 9 years. Yes, 8 years in a row.
Literally
I got you a present.
One of the most important things you have to remember
That's not
in
the
a
right way to
relationship.
use literally.
I know the difference between literal and figurative language,
You get something on me and you never let it go. Oh, come on, I knew it was your birthday.
Because you saw it on Facebook.
That's how most people remember birthdays.
I just want a little bit of respect, Dave.
Why does everything have to be an argument?
Why do you think?
Well, you're the one raising your voice.
Because it's the only way I can be heard. You're like a child,
I'm like
Dave.
a child.
Yeah, you're like a child.
You're the one shouting at me. You started shouting first.
Yeah. And then we really don't see her again, do we?
Well, she breaks up with him, so he goes in to stay with his sister, and that's where we meet his sister, Tess, I think is her name. Felix is the nephew. This kid, I didn't even write down his name. He's a kid. I don't know if he's done anything else. He is just adorable.
He is.
But we find out that he's allergic to everything, and Dave doesn't like kids. Like, he doesn't even particularly seem to like his nephew all that much.
Yeah. It's like he doesn't care. Like, he has no stake in the game, right? He's a guy, he's his nephew. He seems to care enough about him, but he doesn't care to expose him to, he puts the VR goggles on him and has him playing a zombie shooter game, which of course horrifies his mother when he comes home. He's dropping the F-bomb all the time. I loved that scene where he takes him to school for the first time. Oh God, I was laughing out loud. And he's making comments about the kid as they walk through, and the kid's introducing him to all of his friends as his friends come up and either make fun of him for bringing tofu and, lame things to school because he has so many allergies and his mom's trying to keep him healthy, to the girl who comes by and kisses him on the cheek and then quickly runs away. And he looks down at him and is like, yeah, see, you're already getting the puss, huh?
Oh, my God. That was so funny. Yeah, the only thing, before that happened, he heard the mom reading to the little kid from Roald Dahl's The Witches, and she reads a line that says something like, it doesn't matter who you are or what you look like as long as somebody loves you. And that, seems to touch him. Mm-hmm. You get the insinuation that really all this guy wants is to be loved.
Yeah.
I mean, he's such a douche that you're not really thinking about that at this point, but over the course of the movie, you realize he's just... Oh, God, I don't know. And there's reasons for his behavior that come out later in an exposition dump that works. Because it's a genuine conversation between people that feels very honest, and it doesn't just feel like an exposition dump.
Right.
But anyway, he tries to get his girlfriend back, and he takes the little kid dressed as Darth Vader, and this kid... does Vader all the time, and he talks in a Vader voice, a little kid Vader voice, and he's so adorable. And that dynamic between the two of them, even here in the beginning, it's already getting cute. And he'll say things, the kid will say, "How was that, Uncle Dave?" And the uncle will be like, "It's good, stay in character." And so he'll go back to talking in the voice. And that carries out throughout the movie. He'll just and the kid thinks he can do the Jedi mind trick. Or he's almost there. That's what he tells his mom at some point. I'm almost there. I've almost got it. It's adorable. But yes, at school, I mean, it's almost hard to even believe these kids bullying
this kid,
Felix, because Felix is so cute and sweet. But Dave, they go into the classroom, and Miss Caroline is there, and I would react in exactly the same way that he does. He is just immediately
struck,
blown away by her, which you would be. I mean, she's radiant. She's standing there in front of, a bank of windows, so she's just in this heavenly glow. And Lupita Nyong'o is stunningly, stunningly beautiful. And then, of course, he sees her interacting with the children, and she's wonderful with them. Mm-hmm. And they clearly love her.
She's got them wrapped around her finger. She knows exactly what to do. She's like the perfect teacher.
Yeah. And if you read viewer reviews, everybody will just go on and on and on, whether they liked the movie or not. They're like, Lupita Nyong'o is a goddess. And it gets kind of mixed reviews, but mixed in that it's either 5 stars or 1 star. Like, people either love it or they hate it. And I don't get, I feel like you must have a black heart and soul if you don't like this movie, because it's so sweet. Anyway, eventually, he drops the kid off at school. There's funny bits. I wish we could talk about every joke because it's so funny. But there's like a bit where the one bully, I guess he's supposed to be the big bully, is Max, and he's kind of this chubby kid. And at some point, he's going to his cubby, and he kind of has to scoot behind a door, and Dave totally smacks him in the head with the door. That was pretty funny. But Dave leaves for the day and then comes back to pick the kid up. He overhears another teacher talking to Miss Caroline and saying one of the parents who was supposed to chaperone the trip tomorrow, her kid is sick, and so she can't go. And they're like, well, where are we going to find another chaperone? And Dave's like, I'm in. Let's do it.
Right.
So they're going on a field trip to, what was it? It's like
Pleasant Valley Farms. Yes. Right next to, as we see as they drive down on the bus, the camera dramatically pans over and there's an army testing base right next to it. I laughed out loud so hard.
Are there American military bases in Australia?
I don't know. I did question that myself. But whatever. U.S. Army testing facility was what it was. Oh, God, it was hilarious.
Very, very funny. So they're in the bus, and the bus breaks down. So Miss Caroline, at the front of the bus with her little ukulele, is singing Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. And all the kids are singing it with her. And it's just so cute. And, she's adorable. Like, she is just playing this role. It's so genuine. I totally believe that she is the best kindergarten teacher in all the land. Uh-huh. And these kids are just in love with her. And it's so cute. They're having such fun together singing that Taylor Swift song, which I'm not a huge Swiftie, but that song's a bop. Like, I love that song.
You can't hate that song. This was another thing. Apparently, the director said that he was at one of his son's kindergarten performances, and there was a teacher up there with a ukulele, and the kids were singing Shake It Off, and he didn't recognize it. He didn't know it. He turns to someone and says, oh, what is that song? There's like, oh, it's Shake It Off. And he was like, this works so well for the movie I'm writing. And he said he went home that night and added it in. Mm-hmm. Problem was, they couldn't get the rights to it.
Big shock there. I could, when I heard it, I couldn't believe. I was like, wow, I can't believe they got this. This must have cost them a fortune.
Right. Well,
but it didn't, I don't think.
No, because they'd struggled. And Lupita Nyong'o, who took this just out of love, I think she agreed to this within 48 hours of being sent the script. They wanted her for it. They weren't sure if she would take it, but she was looking for a role like this. It's different from what she's done before, where she's in a comedy and she's happy, and she liked the idea she could get to sing, and she'd learn to play the ukulele, all that stuff. But they couldn't get the song, and she talked to the director, and she's like, look, I'm really not even interested in doing this movie if we can't get this song, because it's so cute. It's so much at the heart of what the movie is trying to say. And so she had met Taylor Swift at one time and had told her that she was going to send her a letter someday. So she sat down and wrote her an email directly asking her for the rights to this song. And
she explained why. She explained why it was important to the movie. She explained why it was important to her. Yeah, and they got it, Taylor Swift. And that's, I don't have strong feelings about Taylor Swift one way or the other. I like a lot of her songs. I don't have any of her albums downloaded, but if I hear them on the radio, they're good. Mm-hmm. I think she's a very talented musician, but she's a smart lady.
Yeah.
She's very business savvy.
She's spending a lot more time in Missouri than she used to.
She is. She
could drive down and see her one of these days, maybe.
She's very polarizing here right now.
Really?
Yeah,
Can't
like
imagine.
hardcore Chiefs fans. Yeah, I don't know how they feel about it, but they should feel.
Let the girl watch some football.
They should feel good about it because it's getting them tons of exposure and publicity.
Heck yeah.
But anyway, it doesn't surprise me that she would agree to something like this. She seems like a very cool person.
Yeah.
And I do. It's a great song, and it's super cute to watch the kids. But of course, Dave is too cool. He's too cool for that. So
yeah,
the kids want to sing it again. She's like, no, I think we've heard enough of that for now. And they're like, we'll sing another song. And she's like, no, but there's somebody else on the bus who's a professional singer. And there's a cute little. They talk about what it means to be a professional and stuff. And she asks Dave, because he had told her that he's in this band, God's Sledgehammer, which isn't a Christian band, but he says it is because she's a Christian. And she's like, Dave can sing us a song. He's like, no, but eventually he gets up and he carries around his electric guitar with him everywhere he goes.
Yeah, like a douche.
Yeah,
and a little mini amp so that he can play it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So he plays like this punk metal song that he wrote, and it's about being abandoned by his father, and his father never thought he was good enough, which the first time I watched the movie, I don't even think that I paid any attention to the lyrics. The lyrics actually are kind of poignant and significant later on, but he's basically just screaming them. He's a terrible musician.
Yeah.
And eventually she just tells him to stop. It's like, I think that may be a little bit too much. But then they arrive there, but then we cut to that military facility, and it's just couple of people riding around on one of those, I don't know what those are. You see people, those huge tunnels, driving those like miniature Jeeps. There's a guy and a girl, both in military attire, and they come upon a zombie eating somebody, and they're like, oh man,
one of them's free.
One of them got out again.
It's look, I love the economy of this too. You might as well. We know what kind of movie this is going to be. We know, don't bore us and try to make this feel like this. All this tense stuff. Like, make it funny and just get to the point. Okay, they're going to be zombies on the military facility, and I feel like the director is just winking at us, like, all right, we know, so we're just going to make it funny and cut to the chase.
Right.
So. Yeah, I love the premise that apparently this facility is down there because the American Army is researching all of the dangerous Australian animals and plants and things. I don't know, when he's kind of reading off of their catalog and stuff as he's going down there. Boom, there you go.
Boom, right. And it's immediate. Like, that one zombie kills one of those military guys, and then they hear over the radio, code red, and they're all out. And immediately, Night of the Living Dead style, like, logistically, it doesn't even really make sense. Like,
streaking out.
Yeah, these people presumably just died, but they're already like in disgusting, horrible zombie shape. They're bloody. Their faces are all decayed and ripped off, and
because why not?
It's just disgusting. Right? I mean, they look great. They're great looking zombies. Mind you, this is all in broad daylight. The whole, most of the movie. And they immediately just start lumbering, and they walk right past that sign that says Pleasant Valley Farms 500 yards.
But luckily, these are the slow-moving kind of zombies, so it takes a little while for them to get there.
But just a little while. I mean, they arrive at the putt-putt courts, and these Asian tourists, I guess, think they're part of the attraction.
Yeah. They were Chinese speaking Mandarin. I loved that little bit because I could actually understand what they were saying.
I wondered. I don't know. I don't know Mandarin.
But that was weird. They introduced them. The one girl runs off. We see her again later in a scene, that woman.
Yeah, the young woman.
And then we never see her again, right?
That was kind of weird. Like, they made a point.
Did we ever see her face?
I don't think so. I feel like they made a point of showing us that she got away.
Yeah.
And then we just see her run past the screen one other time, then I don't think we see her again. I don't recall seeing her as a zombie. But Miss Caroline and Dave and the kids are on a train pulled by a farm tractor, and Felix is like, he loves tractors. He's obsessed with tractors. And the guide, the woman who works there, who's driving the tractor, she has to stop because they're going through pastures of sheep, but they don't see any sheep until they come across a zombie eating a sheep. But she doesn't know what it is, so she goes down to check it out. And she's like, sir, what are you doing? And he attacks her. So Miss Caroline goes down to see what's going on, and she sees that it's zombies. And at that point, Dave does too. So I love that, just right off the bat, immediately, she grabs a pitchfork and totally pitchforks this guy entirely through his torso. Like, she's not messing around.
Yeah, she's going to keep those kids safe.
Yes, and that's what she doesn't say it here, but she says it later, and I think it's appropriate to just, that's her job. Yeah. And she says that outright. It is my job to keep these kids safe, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to do that.
That was cool. I also liked her dynamic with Dave. It's very interesting because Dave clearly came on this trip because he is interested in her.
Right.
And he's a man on a rebound who's going through a difficult thing, and so it feels a bit predatory, but also, maybe a bit, like you said, who wouldn't be interested in her?
Right.
But he's all there ready and willing to help and jumps in to help, but then there's a moment where she's holding her hand up, and he notices a ring on her finger, and he's like, are you married? And she's like, no, engaged. He's like, oh. And at that point, he seems very uninterested.
Dejected. He's a big baby.
He is. He doesn't want to be there now, But at this moment where she's like, get in there, she's yelling back at him, start the tractor, get the kids going. And he's like, okay, he's got to spring into action because he has no choice. He leaps into the front. He can't even operate the tractor, but he's coached through it by 5-year-old Felix, who loves tractors.
who teaches him how to drive this like a stick. Yeah.
It's so cute.
It's adorable. And, just now saying he's a big baby, he really is, but in thinking about it now,
he's able to rise.
It makes sense for his character journey. Like, he really is kind of a big baby. Like, he can't take. He's a narcissist. He's really only concerned about himself. He is ungrateful to his sister and treats her badly, even though she's got everything together and she's always there to catch him when he falls. When his sister finally has had enough of him and says, "You have to get out," he cries or pretends to cry to get her to let him stay. Like here. When he finds out she has a girlfriend, he pouts like a big baby. He really is kind of a child. But over the course of the movie, and it's funny because she has a surprising amount of patience for him. I get the feeling from the beginning that she does genuinely kind of like him. I mean, he's nice to her, but there come points where he says something too much. Like he gets into a spat with the heavy kid, Max, and she has to scold him. So she does have her limits, but I like their dynamic too. And she, probably just because she's resourceful and knows Dave's the only other grown-up in the room right now. So she needs his help, and she has to rely on him too. And she does, and then they work together.
Well, and also, she's a really good teacher. She knows how to deal with kids, so she should be able to deal with him pretty well, too, right? Like, she has the same level of patience, ultimately, that she has with the kids. She just extends to him, because he is sort of like, it's better for him to kind of treat him like a kid.
True.
It all tracks. It's really good. Well, one thing that we need to go back and mention is this child's entertainer, Teddy McGiggle.
Oh, right.
So there's we see early on that one of Felix's shows that he likes to watch, and apparently all the kids are into, is this children's entertainer has a TV show called Teddy McGiggle, and he has a little frog puppet that he talks to and does a silly dance, and is, just your entertainer that talks to kids like this.
Hi-ho, Teddy!
Hi-ho, Frogsy! Well, aren't we having a super fun time on our trip down under? We've swam with the fish in the Great Barrier Reef. We've climbed to the top of the Harbor Bridge. And today, we are visiting the Pleasant Valley Farm to meet and learn about all the cute Australian animals.
I want to cuddle from a koala.
I bet you do, Frogsy! Whoa-wee!
And he's American, but he's in Australia on one of his world tours with this big red van.
Yeah.
And so when they show up, he happens to be at this petting zoo, and they do a little performance out in front. You can see the TV cameras are there catching it and all that. And then he kind of, wanders off.
Yeah.
Once all this stuff goes down with the zombies, they're going away, like you said, on the tractor. She gets back on.
She does get back on. I wanted to mention real quick, like you and I have both worked in education. You specifically have worked very closely with kindergartners.
Yeah.
This woman's classroom management skills are like top notch.
Yeah.
She has the most incredible classroom management skills. And the reason that I mentioned that we both have been in education is it reads genuine.
It does.
I believe this.
This is very genuine.
This woman, she knows how to keep these children calm. She cannot lose her cool. She has to keep her cool all the time, and she has to keep a level
focused.
of normalcy. Yes, she has to keep them focused and keep it normal. And she does, and I love it. Like, there's zombies all around, and the kids are kind of getting scared.
Watch your feet. Eyes on me.
Eyes on you.
Who remembers how to play tag? Good. Well, those funny-looking people out there are it.
How do I go backwards?
And we don't want to let the funny people touch us. Look, isn't she good at it? I'm going to need you to stick together in a line. So, quick sticks. Ready? Steady.
The zombies are slowish moving. If you move quick, you can get away from them. And so she gets them all in a conga line and just directs them quickly through this maze of zombies. And as silly as that sounds, and ultimately as silly as it is, I just loved it. I just
cute.
thought it was the cutest, most clever thing. And these kids are adorable, and they're such good actors too. Like, they seem like real kids.
Yeah. Well, and I think it works, like you said, not just because of her, but also because of the way the kids respond. The kids are great in this movie. They got great performances out of them. As I was saying earlier, they screened like 700 kids, and he said he was very interested in getting kids who were 5. They weren't going to get 6 or 7-year-olds and try to cheat it. He's like, nobody buys that. And also, you're just not going to get the same reactions as you are from kids who are that age. So it's really important. So they go through the screening process and they get these kids. And he's like, we put them through the paces, and you could tell like which ones couldn't focus and which ones would zone out after a while. And, they got dropped. But when you're working with kids, you only get 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And you've got to have breaks and all these things. And he said that when they were shooting, they realized that between 9 and 10 a.m., was sort of like the magic hour for these kids. That was where they had just had breakfast, and it was morning time, and they still had a lot of energy where they could keep them focused and really get good performances. So they basically scheduled most of what they needed out of these kids to happen in that 1 hour span.
Wow.
Of every day of shooting. Crazy, right?
That's hard to believe because there's so much in it, like
Yeah, right?
it's not like they can just put them somewhere and go do things. One of the grown-ups has to be with them all the time. Mm-hmm. So those kids are present most of the time. But yeah, first they try to go back to their bus, but they see the bus driver getting eaten, and he says, "They're in the bus. Go back." So they go back to the gift shop / visitor center, but it's locked. And Teddy McGiggles is locked in there and reveals himself to just be a top-notch asshole. Like, he could not care less about them. He couldn't care less that they are children. He is safe in there by himself, and that's how it's going to stay.
Well, I saw this coming a mile away because it's that kind of movie.
Oh, sure. I mean, he was douchey from the beginning. Like, as soon as he laid eyes on Miss Caroline, when all the kids were gathered around, he, called her up and had his hands on her, and, he was clearly, putting the moves on her. It was gross.
Well, it's also pretty typical for these kind of comedies. And I think this might be where some of the I didn't actually read any of the criticism. I'm just trying to imagine. And I'm also, thinking about the movie as objectively as possible. As much as I enjoyed it, these are pretty standard tropes. You know, like we said, the Judd Apatow big kid who has to grow up. Okay, he meets a woman who initially, you know, they're sparring, or it seems like they're an unlikely pair. Then they develop a relationship and they have their moments. And it's almost beat by beat sort of screenplay writing 101. And this same thing, this guy who you saw as this wonderful child's entertainer that all the kids love, I knew was going to turn out to be the biggest asshole of all of them. It's just standard for these comedies. So I did feel like these things were a bit predictable. That's fine because it was still a fun movie, and we sometimes watch the same stories over and over again, and we still like them. Mm-hmm. But if I were to have, you know, some criticism for this movie, and maybe why some people connected with it and some people just absolutely turned it off, is because of that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I do. I mean, when you say it that way, I get it. I never felt that way. I never felt like it was stale. And I don't know if that is a result of any one thing or a combination of things. The performances that I think are so good.
I thought the plot was a little stale. I thought that the whole, like I said, it's so close to, say, Cooties or Anna and the Apocalypse or Scout's Guide to the, and not just because it's younger people who have to deal with zombies, but it was almost like it kind of hit the same beats. You always know in a movie like this, there's going to be this point where everybody's asleep and there's no threat, and so that gives the male character and the female character time to spill their guts out to each other, and then find out that, you know, hey, he really isn't such a bad guy after all, and
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, there's actually that moment in here.
Yeah,
and I saw it coming from a mile away too, and
well, sure,
I got to say I was a little disappointed by that, but it's fine. I expected it, and I got it, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, they get in. For the kids, they find a way. By the way, these zombies are a threat if they get a hold of you, but if I had a choice of running through a horde of zombies or not, I would choose not to. But if you had to,
these are the
as long as you're on your toes, you're right, if you're on your toes, you got a pretty good chance. They're also mindless, it seems, because they can't, like, figure out how to climb things.
Right. Or open doors, or smash through windows. They're not doing that.
Right. So any obstacle in their way is good for you. So the kids crawl through this little hole in the ground into like a play area, and the zombies can't figure that out, so they're okay. Dave goes in through the ceiling, and he and
Teddy
McGiggles, they fight. And he is just so crass. Like, McGiggles is just so crass. Everything he says is disgusting. And they get in a fight, and eventually Dave grabs McGiggles by the balls and squeezes, and McGiggles, like, projectile vomits. But he beats him up. Yeah. Dave beats McGiggles up, and then he takes blows too. But then the kids are in there. And at first, McGiggles is being crazy, talking about how they're all going to die because they're still trying to keep the kids under the illusion that this is all a game. And McGiggle's like, it's not a game, we're all going to die, blah, blah, blah. And he's scaring the kids. So she goes over to him. I loved this moment. She pretends that she's hugging him, but really she sticks a sharp, like, was it like a broken statue or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She digs it into his side, and she's really digging it in. Like, he's crying. And this is when she said, it is my job to take care of these kids, and I will do whatever I have to do that. And I liked seeing that kind of badass moment. Not that she hasn't already been a badass, she has. Yeah. But she's so even-keeled for the kids. Even in this moment, they don't know what's going on. They think she's just giving him a hug. But she gets him to say it's a game, and then everything calms down for a little while. While Miss Caroline and McGiggles are fighting, Dave gives the kids all food.
Yeah.
And Felix says, is this okay, Uncle Dave? And he's like, yeah, it's fine.
It's just chips.
It's just chips. But it's been established that he has severe allergies to everything. So as soon as that fight between Lupita Nyong'o and Josh Gad is over, we hear him struggling to breathe, and you kind of see him scratching at his throat. Of course they know he's got severe allergies, so she had an EpiPen, but a zombie stole her fanny pack, and that's where it was. But Dave has one too, and Tess, Felix's mom, had shown Dave how to do it, but of course he's an idiot and he does it wrong, and he injects it into himself, and once you've done that, that's done. It's not like you can just reuse them. So he says, well, there's another one, there's a spare in his backpack, but his backpack is on that train. All the kids left their backpack. Mm-hmm. And Dave says, I'll go get it, but Felix says, no, don't leave me. And gosh, it's so sad, and
the dad in me really felt this bit, actually. I mean, it's such a small bit, but that hit me. That hit me hard.
Well,
because I'm thinking, what would I do in this situation, And I'm like, and
Lupita Nyong'o just jumps into action. She sees this. She sees him say, don't leave, and she says, I'll do it. And by God, she does.
Yep. Goes out, kicks ass, gets that, and brings it back. Yep.
Comes back. I mean, she has to fight through a bunch of zombies on the way there, and we get to watch that. And she fights them with a shovel, and she ends up hacking several of their heads off with a shovel. Like, she's just a total badass. She gets to the train. It's cutting back to Felix almost dying, and he does not look good. And Dave, of course, is just horrified and racked with guilt. Of course, as you would be. And then when she gets to the train, all the kids' backpacks are identical. So she has to go through all of them. And then she turns around to head back, and it is just an even bigger horde of zombies. And all you see is she takes a deep breath and starts marching towards them. and then it cuts back to the kids, and she comes storming back in.
Drops through the ceiling. just lands on her feet like a total stud, covered in blood.
Just covered in blood. Like, she has just been through a slaughter out there. And she says, they're like, what's on your dress? She's like, I got caught in a jam fight. It's strawberry jam. Don't taste it.
So funny.
So funny. And she gives Felix the injection, and he can breathe, and he says, thank you, Miss Caroline. And she says, it's my job. Ugh.
Yeah.
And then, Dave looks at her, this woman who has just saved his nephew's life, and not only that, saved him from the predicament that Dave put him in.
Yeah.
And he is just in love. Mm-hmm. Absolutely in love. That gosh, I don't remember where the times I cried.
Where you cried?
We've got to
be said you close. Put it down in your notes. Come on, be honest.
We must not have gotten there yet.
Well, Teddy hears a helicopter. He climbs up on the roof to wave it down, but he ends up falling off. And because he wouldn't let them in, and the teacher is very reluctant to let him in. And I love this line. He yells into her. He goes, "You're being a bad teacher. F your teaching method."
Oh, God.
But, Dave goes out there and rescues him, pulls him up onto the roof. And then he has his little confession moment, which was so funny. I laughed so hard. And basically, he's just like, he's just admitting that he hates kids and he doesn't enjoy the job. And he was trained by Al Pacino as an actor, and he's doing this thing. And he says, the only thing that gets me through it is their moms.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, right? Like, utterly ridiculous. Maybe a little too over the top. But at the very end, he says, and you know what? Teddy McGiggle isn't even my real name. It's Kevin.
Or whatever, something weird.
That line was genius. I'm sorry.
And he's like, I don't remember what he said. He's like, it's Steven. And Dave goes, Steven McGiggle? Steven Schwartz. Like, I don't remember what it was, but something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, that part wasn't my favorite part. I think it was funny, and
dumb.
I think Josh Gad is a really, really funny guy. And a lot of that felt improvised. Like,
yeah.
I imagine that the director probably said, here's the direction, I want you to take it.
Take these concepts and do it. Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's just silly for the point of being silly. It was very unreal.
And at one point, he goes, what's that terrible smell? Oh, God. It was. I can't lie. It was me. I shit my pants. I was going to try to blame it on you. Oh, God. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we find out that the Army has plans to drop a bomb on the visitor center in the morning. But now it's nighttime, and Caroline sings to these kids The sweetest song.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to visit the moon on a rocket ship high in the air. Yes, I'd like to visit the moon, but I don't think I'd like to live there. Though I'd like to look down at the earth from above, I would miss all the places and people I love. So although I may like it for one afternoon, I don't want to live on the moon.
It's adorable. It's a beautiful little lullaby. They finally get the kids to go to sleep. Isn't this when Dave and Felix have a cute little moment with Felix's girlfriend?
Dave and Felix's girlfriend. Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I no, it's not quite there yet. We see that all of the parents of the missing kids are gathered, but the army is keeping them out. And there's hilarious dialogue where the army guys are like, "What's going on this time? It's zombies again. Slow ones or fast ones? Slow ones. Oh, well, that's good. Okay, well, shoot anything that moves."
They stand around their table and they slap down and unroll a map, and it's just the cartoony visitors map of the petting zoo instead of a satellite map or something like that is what they're using to plan their invasion. I mean, it's so corny. And that's kind of nice. I mean, again, it's like the filmmakers winking at you yeah, you know what's going on. The army's coming in. They're going to become a threat too. They're going to want to bomb the place. So let's just have some fun with that.
But I just think that it's also funny because in these zombie movies, it's always at the end, at the very end, the army comes in and gets things under control. And this movie treats it that just happens sometimes. That's part of the job for the army is cleaning up zombie outbreaks. Oh, God. Tess, Dave's sister, tries to call her and leaves a tearful message and says, please just tell Felix I love him. And oh, my God, it's so cute and sad.
This is again, it's so typical. Tess and Dave have their moments. So now, we get this point where Dave can tell his sister suddenly how much he appreciates all that she's done for him. And I was kind of rolling my eyes at that.
Well, that's later. He does call her, or she gets through to him later.
You're right. That's later.
All the kids are going to sleep, but Felix's little girlfriend, Beth, is scared. And so Felix says, my mom says a rhyme to me when I'm scared. And it's this cute little rhyme about little monsters go away. But Dave busts in and says it with them. And at the end, Felix is like, how did you know that rhyme? And he said, your mom used to say it to me too. That's back when I was boo-boo. Boo-boo is what the sister called him. So all the kids go to sleep. And then Dave and Aubrey, which he finally calls her. He's been calling her Miss Caroline all along, and she keeps saying, you've really got to call me Aubrey. He finally calls her Aubrey and apologizes for, all of his bad behavior. But then they have a heart-to-heart. Mm-hmm. And you're right. Like I said before, it's an exposition dump, but I don't mind it because it feels so heartfelt, and it's sweet and funny. Basically, his story is he didn't want to have kids with his ex. He admits that, they broke up and she immediately got with another guy, but it was really his fault because he couldn't commit and she wanted kids and he didn't. And it's because he's scared he'd be like his dad. His dad left them, totally abandoned them for another family, which caused his mom to lose her mind, and she was hospitalized through all of their childhood, and so his sister had raised him, and he wasn't even, grateful for her, and yes, it's a little bit trite, but it's played so genuinely that I don't mind. And then she tells her story. She's like, I wasn't always the perfect teacher. And she talks about how she was kind of a wild child, and at 18, she ran away from home to follow a band. She followed them to Australia, and until she ran out of money. And when she ran out of money, she broke into one of their hotel rooms. And she said, I would have let them do anything to me. He goes, what happened? And she said, as soon as Taylor came in the room, they called security or something. And he goes, Taylor Swift? She said, no, Taylor Hanson. The band that she had been following was the band that she was willing to let do anything to her was Hanson. That's hilarious.
I know,
and
right?
he's like, wait, like Mbop? And she's like, Mbop.
Well, big surprise, too, here, right? She's not actually engaged. I saw that coming a mile away as well.
Oh, obviously. Well, I mean, she's a smart girl. She knows what's going on. You know, all those dads are hitting on her. Yes, throw a ring on that finger. Maybe it'll deflect some of them. Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Right. But anyway, she fell into teaching because she was broke. So she took a job as a teaching aide and she fell in love with it. And now it's like her life calling or whatever.
Yep.
And he offers to stay awake and keep watch. And that scared me to death because I thought he was going to screw up again. But he doesn't. He just wakes them up in the morning. And he's got a plan. They got to get out of there. His plan is to go to the train, but when they talk to McGiggles about it, McGiggles is like, I've got this great van, and it's got a hatch in the top for my puppet, so we can drive it up and get the kids in there.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's actually a pretty good idea. So McGiggles and Dave both go to the van. I'm trying to hurry because this isn't all that exciting. I mean, it is in the movie because they have to traverse the zombies and all that.
Yeah. Well, there is a bit here, and this is, again, a little bit of criticism for the movie was the pacing. The movie slows down quite a few times, and the zombie threat is not ever present. It seems like they could stay locked in that room forever. Like, as long as they had food and drink, which
but they don't.
They
right.
ate up all the chips. But, like, they're not fending off zombies left and right. There's suddenly not, like, somebody breaks in the back door or whatever. And I felt like I was a little, are we going to move the plot forward? They don't know that the army is going to be bombing them.
Right.
So they don't have that urgency. I felt like the movie could have used a little bit of urgency, at this point, but... In any case, they got to get the kids out because there's no food. And as they're running away, Teddy is like scared out of his mind and freaking out until he comes across the playground, which is where the kid zombies were. Mm-hmm. And suddenly he has a new lease on his zombie taken out life and starts brutally taking out these kid zombies. And this movie is not afraid to cross lines.
No.
I kind of liked that about it, that the kids are zombies and he is killing them.
Yeah.
And each time he's like, I f***ed your mom and I f***ed your mom. I was like, this is where he needs to get his energy from, is, his hatred. And it feels very cathartic to him. And I thought that was funny, even though it was really silly. And also I was really impressed they were willing to go there and take out the kids.
Yeah, there are kid zombies throughout.
Yeah.
I like that too. Well, anyway, they get to the van, but Teddy betrays them and locks the door, and so Dave can't get in, but then...
His sock puppet Froggy is a zombie now?
Yeah, that was hilarious. You see the puppet come out from the back, and then he gets killed. And Dave climbs up on top of the van, which the zombies can't figure out, so he's up there. He talks to his sister on the phone, apologizes to her, and then he ends up dropping his phone. Then there's a sequence where the kids all of a sudden are like, where's Felix? And he's gone, and you see him running around outside in his Darth Vader outfit and like fake lightsaber fighting with the zombies and stuff.
And pew pew like the video game, yeah.
Yeah. There was never a question in my mind of whether or not they would kill this kid. I knew that they would not.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But this still made me very nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's just running through them. He doesn't know the stakes. They've told them that it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't know the danger. And he finds this little lamb that we've seen before. But he gets cornered in the lamb's pen. Now, does Felix Jedi mind trick that gate?
I guess. Yeah. That's the only explanation for this. The only other way you could explain it, although I was looking for it and I didn't see it, is that the zombies, as they're piling against the gate, sort of end up closing it themselves.
Right.
But it sure looks like he's used his force powers to close the gate. Yeah.
It really looks like it.
And then the next scene we see, he's not there anymore. I thought he was going to be trapped or something. And
I did too. But no, he actually comes to the rescue. The next time we see him, he is coming, he's driving the tractor, pulling the train coming to rescue his uncle. And it's hilarious because he doesn't know how to drive, so he's like running over stuff and going, oops.
Yeah.
Like it's really cute and really funny. And he picks up Dave, and Dave gets on and he says, see, I told you were the bravest kid I knew. And that was before Dave left to go try to get the van. The kid is like, but you'll be back, right? And he says something like, you're the strongest, bravest person I've ever met. And I was crying.
Well, now that I think about it, that's probably what gave him the impetus to run out on his own in the Darth Vader costume. So in a way,
maybe.
He kind of put him in danger.
Yeah, it was really sweet. Anyway, they pick up the kids, they get them all on the train, and because these are slow walking zombies, like the tractor doesn't even go fast. Like that tractor could go faster than that.
It could.
But they're just going like 2 miles an hour, and the whole horde of zombies is just following them. But Miss Caroline is playing the ukulele for the kids, and they're singing along. But anytime a song ends, the zombies are like, and somebody says it's the music. And so she's playing these songs.
This was so silly, this bit.
It really was. And she plays, if you're happy and clap your hands, and the kids and the zombies clap.
Yeah.
and it's really silly. It's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. I think you could have cut this whole bit out, and I would have been just fine with it, honestly.
Oh, you could. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, they're getting away. They're coming towards the army. At first, the army just sees Miss Caroline and Dave, and they're just going to kill them. They're like, they could be infected. Just, take them out.
Because this is standard military procedure for zombies.
Right.
Anyway.
And then they're like, wait, do you hear that? It's singing. And they're like, who's singing? And they're like, wait, it's kids. And the major, whoever's in charge, like, kids? I can't shoot kids. Not again. So they don't shoot the kids.
They all catch up, and all the kids stream off. In the meantime, Dave is super excited. He's telling the military, he says, it's the music, just sing to them. You can control them. And they just break out their guns and mow these guys down.
Right in front of these kids.
All the children.
Yeah.
That bit was hilarious.
And then you see stealth bombers fly overhead, and an atomic bomb, not really, but a huge bomb goes off at the camp, and there's like a mushroom cloud and everything, and Miss Caroline's like, look, kids, fireworks.
Uh-huh.
Then guys in hazmat suits start grabbing the kids and throwing them in the back of a paddy wagon.
Aubrey kisses him, you knew that was coming.
Oh, right, they kiss in front of the mushroom cloud. Yeah. That was, she kisses him, and like, I don't remember if she pulls away. I think she pulls away and says, I'm sorry, and then he kisses her.
Yeah.
It's really, like, this is obvious, right. That's obviously where it was going, but at this point, I don't know, Todd. I was just so into it. Like, I loved it. Through this whole thing, I was laughing, I was crying, I was nervous, even though if they had, you said that this movie isn't afraid to like cross lines, and I agree, they do kill children. There are lots of children zombies. You do see those zombie kids brutalized by Josh Gad, but if they had killed any one of these kids in this class, I would have been out. Like, no, never mind, don't like it. So I'm glad that they were sensible in that way, and it was silly, it was cute. But anyway, at the end, so then it cuts back to the military facility, and it's all of the parents, and the major comes in and was like, they're like, where are our kids? He's like, all of the class is safe. We just have to keep them in quarantine. And they're like, but wait, how could that be? And he's like, well, it's a miracle. Their teachers kept them safe. And they're like, teachers? They only have one teacher. And he's like, no, there's Miss Caroline and there's Dave. And Tess is like, that's my brother. And he's like, it's unprecedented. Nobody has ever survived one of these things. And the parents are like, well, they must be so scared. And he's like, come with me. And he takes them to like this huge, enormous room that's dark, but in the center of it, there's a clear plastic tent, and all of the kids and Dave and Miss Caroline are in there, and all of the kids are sitting around, and Dave is playing the ukulele, and they're all singing "Shake It Off" together.
Yeah,
and it's so cute. And then like all the parents are sitting there watching, and it does a close up on Tess, and you just see the tears running down her face, and I'm crying too. Like, it was so sweet. It was so sweet, and I cried.
I didn't
And it was
cry.
just so cute.
It was cute. No, I admit that it's cute. And I think, this movie isn't going to be for everybody because maybe even many of our listeners don't have the patience for a super cute movie like this. It's trying to be cute. It actually works. But it's also, like I said, very paint by numbers as far as the plot goes. It's very simple. You don't ever really feel that the kids are in real peril. And a lot of it sounds kind of written and silly, because it's just a silly comedy. And so you don't really take any of it seriously. Look, that's not a criticism. That's the point of the movie. It's just that kind of movie. But if you go into this not expecting that, if you think you're going to feel danger and, it's going to be realistic, it's not. It's a bit of a parody, but it's got a lot of heart to it as well and emotional depth that I was not expecting, honestly. Yeah, I liked it too, and I would recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, I would too. And Alan really liked it. Like, he really liked this movie, and that very rarely happens with horror. So I've been trying to get my sister to watch it. She's like, oh, I don't like zombie movies. They're so gross. And I'm like, well, the zombies are gross, but it's really not scary. It's more so sweet and cute and funny, and I really think that she would like it. In fact, I recommend. She's been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer with her tween daughter, and they've both been really enjoying that together. I feel like this is similar in tone. There's a little bit of scary stuff, and there are definitely scary monsters and stuff, but it's really more of a story about people. Mm-hmm. I really dig these types of movies, and I've been excited to talk about it for a long time, so I'm glad. And I watched it that one time with Alan in quarantine. Hadn't watched it again. Watched it again yesterday and was nervous, thinking, gosh, I have such fond memories of it. What if I have oversold it to myself in my mind? And I enjoyed watching it again so much. So even on a second viewing, it stood up for me. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, and I don't think a lot of people have seen it, honestly. So if you're one of those people and haven't seen it, I highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, especially for people who are just looking for it's kind of a good mixed crowd movie.
Yeah.
There's some comedy in there. There's some cuteness in there.
Romance.
The horror. The horror is not really that horrible. It's a clever parody. So yeah, it's good. It's not like Shaun of the Dead level clever, but it's aspiring to that. And again, I still liken it to Cooties, to Anne and the Apocalypse, Scout's Guide to the Apocalypse, although those could get a little darker than this movie ever gets. And I'm kind of tired of these movies, to be frank with you. Like, I don't know if I could watch another zombie parody movie. I'm starting to feel like you with the zombie stuff, to be honest. But maybe for me, it's the zombie comedy thing. Feels like, do we need to keep making these?
Sure.
I don't know. How many more are there going to be?
I don't know.
Why not some like vampire comedies or, I don't know, something different? Anyway, we said that we were going to do something special for this episode. And one of the things that's really nice is that over the last couple years, we have had our patrons who have been really supportive of us behind the scenes, who have supported us with their money as well, and have given us the opportunity to do things that we were never able to do before. We are a lot more active on social media now because we're able to be, because of their support. We're reaching out more, and I think gaining some new listenership, updating our website, doing some things, and also trying to figure out some ways to give you guys more content and more value. And one of the things that we discussed with them was, what's something that you would like us to do? And one of them recommended, hey, we would like to shoot you a voice message. Maybe every now and then you could feature a listener on your podcast. And I thought that was a really cool idea. So I just reached out to our patrons and we said, hey, if you guys want to send a message to us in honor of this 1 year, just do it this way. And we sent them a link, and I kind of set all that up. And we got some responses, and we want to feature a response from each person over the next few episodes and maybe make this a regular thing. We're opening it up to everybody out there so that you can go to our website. There's a little link on there. The platform we're using is called SpeakPipe. It's free. You can just click there. All you have to do is punch in your name and your email address, and you can send a quick 90-second MP3. Just record it right there on your computer or your phone, and then that'll get sent to us, and we can respond to it and maybe feature it on one of our podcasts. So today is the inaugural day where we're going to start doing this. We would like to listen here to one of our lovely patrons and longtime listeners.
Hi guys, this is your loyal listener Andreas from Hamburg in Germany. I just wanted to congratulate you and say thank you for unbelievable, entertaining, funny, dramatic 365 episodes. I'm not ashamed to say by now I've listened to every one of them. I've enjoyed them all. I'm 53 and I have seen quite a few horror movies in my life, but through your podcast I've discovered some real gems I didn't know before. Also, I've seen Vampires Lesbos, which was easily the worst thing I have ever seen in my life. So congratulations again, you two are great, and I hope that the next 365 episodes will be just as great. And stop torturing Craig with obscure Argento stuff. He really is suffering. Bye.
I
don't believe for a moment that you're suffering, but I don't know if I could even fulfill that promise. But
Andreas from Hamburg gets me. It's good to know that people out there, have my back. No, it's really cool. I can't, as I sit here in my living room, in my modest house in small town middle America, it just kind of blows my mind that somebody in Hamburg has listened to all 365 of our episodes. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Flattering. It's really flattering, actually.
Yeah, gosh. and so complimentary. Man, I wish I could shake the guy's hand. Thanks. That's really cool.
Thank you, Andreas.
Yeah, and shoot us. We won't play the mean ones. I can't imagine if you're that. Actually, if you're that motivated, if you're that mad, go ahead and that might be fun. No, I'm just kidding.
Be fun, yeah.
But if you want to shoot us a message, I encourage it. That was really fun. I hadn't heard that. That was my first time hearing it. So thank you very much. I hope we can get more of those in the future.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas, so much. And once again, just go to our website. We actually have a new address now. The old one still works, but chainsawhorror.com will get you to our website as well. It's a little easier to remember and to type in. Just go there and look for that link for SpeakPipe. We also have started an email newsletter. Those are kind of hot right now. If you would like to join that, it's totally free. Just click on that link there as well. Put in your email address. Stick in your birthday if you want. We might send you a little something on your birthday, but you don't have to. Just your name and your email address, and we'll get you on the newsletter as well. Well, thank you again. And Craig, it's been a wonderful year of episodes. I'm looking forward to another 2, 3, 4 more years at least.
Knock on wood.
Till we run out of movies. Like your mom said, she can't believe there are this many horror movies. So
yeah, she said that at like 50.
That's right. We proved her wrong, I'd say.
We did.
Well, thank you so much for listening. And once again, I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
With two guys and a chainsaw.